Hey there, everybody. Michael Church with Crawl Space Ninja. Today I'm answering a powerful question from Lisa Ann, who lives in Virginia. She is a homeowner that did everything right, but is still dealing with a musty smell in her home and perhaps some moisture in her crawl space after she had an exterior waterproofing and French drain system along with downspout extensions installed on the outside of her house. I want to share with you her story, and then I'll give my recommendations on what Lisa Ann should do to fix these issues in her crawl space and hopefully make her home smell way better in the future. By the way, if you'd like for me to evaluate your situation, I encourage you to go to crawlspaceninja.com and look for the Ask a Ninja link right here in the resources section of our website. This way you can share with me your own story along with your pictures, and I can make a video about your situation and share it with everybody so we can all learn together. Also, something we've started doing is we now have a community on our YouTube channel, and I just want to say hello to Denver and Barbara, who have currently joined our community. If you go to any of our videos, you click on the join button and it brings up the ability for you to support me in this channel, and I really appreciate all of you doing that. So let's listen to what Lisa Ann has to say.
When I bought my house in October of 2024, the crawl space looked perfectly dry as a bone actually. I thought I was in good shape. Just before closing, the seller had some fungus treated in the crawl space, but instead of replacing the old contaminated insulation, they just put it right back in. I knew that wasn't the right way to do it, but at the time, I didn't know what else to do. A few months later, in January 2025, I had new insulation installed, finally trying to do things the right way. But then, in March, when the heavy rain started, everything changed. Suddenly, I had standing water in my yard, pooling in my driveway, and even around the entrance to my crawl space. I live on clay soil, so the water just has nowhere to go. I had someone come out to take a look, and they said they didn't see any water lines deep inside the crawl space. That gave me some hope. In April, I went all in. I had a French drain installed around the entire outside of the house. I also had my gutter downspouts routed underground and extended far away to a swale in the yard. And honestly, it helped. There's no more standing water outside. But here's where it gets frustrating. Even with all that work, I still smell a musty odor in my home, especially in the bedroom, which sits right above the deepest part of the crawl space. I'm running a dehumidifier, and it's pulling about a gallon of water every couple of days. That tells me there's still moisture down there. I even ran a 1-hour airborne mold test, and it grew mold. The vapor barrier in my crawl space? It's that thin, inexpensive kind you talk about in your videos. The seams aren't taped and it's not sealed properly. What's worse is that every contractor I've called wants to sell me another French drain and a sump pump under the house, without even going deep into the crawl space to see what's really going on. But if there's no standing water anymore, why is there still so much moisture? How do I fix the damage that was already done from the water that was there? I just want a healthy home. I'm doing everything I can. I just need some real answers.
First off, Lisa, I want to tell you that you did everything right by getting that exterior French drain and those downspouts extended away from your foundation. Many homeowners don't take that necessary step to address standing water in their crawl space, but again, it's a step in addressing standing water in the crawl space, not the only thing that should be considered. Just because you get rid of water on the outside of your foundation doesn't mean that you're getting rid of the water on the inside of the foundation. I know you probably don't want to hear this, but I do agree with the folks that recommended that you put in an interior French drain along with a sump pump, but I would take it a step further, which I'm going to share with you a little later in this video. If you're going to have a contractor install that interior French drain and sump pump, make sure they use the HydroWay waterproofing system inside the crawl space. Since you've already taken care of the waterproofing on the outside, this way it's moving all that water that could be trapped in that clay soil in the crawl space out. The reason why I always recommend waterproofing the inside, even though you've taken these steps to do the outside, is because of the water table. According to HUD, and I agree with this assessment, the Housing and Urban Development Association says that you should install an interior French drain inside the crawl space as well as a sump pump because of the water table. Remember, if the soil in the crawl space is lower than the soil outside of the crawl space, you still may have a water table issue, especially if you have a really deep crawl space where there could be several feet difference between the outside and the inside. Just because you don't notice water on the outside when you're walking in the yard, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have water percolate up through the soil and perhaps ruin an encapsulation that you're probably going to have to do anyway as a next step. If you're going to encapsulate the crawl space, that you have that French drain waterproofing system inside the crawl space so that we can have a worry-free crawl space for years to come. I know you mentioned that you have a current loose laid vapor barrier inside the crawl space, and I agree, it's probably not doing a lot, but we're going to use that vapor barrier in the steps that I'm going to share with you here in just a little bit to help get your crawl space dry before we look to encapsulate the crawl space. Now, the reason why you're experiencing that musty smell inside your home is because, as I mentioned, that loose laid vapor barrier is not very effective on its own at preventing moisture in the soil from rising up into the air of the crawl space. You've got a lot of moisture built up in the crawl space, and that moisture is now getting absorbed by the wood, and now that wood is starting to grow mold. Now, because of the stack effect, any mold that grows inside the crawl space can make its way into your living space. And the reason why you're smelling it is because your nose oftentimes is the first line of defense in letting you know that you have a mold problem. This is called a musty odor, and that musty odor is a good indication that you need to start an investigation either in your crawl space or somewhere else to see if you got some kind of mold problem going on, because a lot of times you can't even see the mold until it's too late. Now, before I list my recommendations, I want to encourage everyone watching this video to pick up my book, Crawl Space Repair Myths Busted, either on Amazon or on my buymeacoffee.com store. This information is relevant to basement homes, crawl space homes, and slab homes, whether you're dealing with mold, outside water issues, whatever's going on that's causing a moisture problem inside your house. This is a great book. I also want to encourage you to check out buymeacoffee.com/CS Ninja. You can pick up my book there in Spanish. You can even download the PDF version of the book. You can even arrange a consultation with me. I can review a contractor's quote and give you information you need to make sure you're addressing your crawl space, your basement, or your attic. And also, if you're going to do it yourself, we've got a really cool crawl space inspection sheet that you can download there. So here are my steps, Lisa Ann, on what I recommend you should do to address that musty odor and make sure that you have a worry-free crawl space. Step number one is we've got to get that humidity under control. You need to purchase a dehumidifier. Leave that loose lay vapor barrier alone for now. Let it help you dry out that crawl space. Get a 70-pint minimum dehumidifier like the Ninja Dry Pro 70 that's located on our DIY store. It's very easy to install. Purchase a dehumidifier like that, put it down in the crawl space, and let it start the work of getting the wood dry and the humidity under control. This way, when you do step two, which is addressing the mold, the wood and everything has already started to dry. It's going to take several weeks to dry out your crawl space, so get that step done immediately. Step two would be addressing the mold. Again, leave that loose laid vapor barrier alone. Get you some rags and scrub brushes and get down there with the Anabec cleaner and scrub all of the wood in the crawl space. If you can't do this yourself, then hire somebody to do this. If they have access to soda blasting, that would be better, but most companies don't soda blast like Crawl Space Ninja does. So either HEPA vacuuming or hand scrubbing with Anabec cleaner or some type of disinfectant would be my next step to making sure that you address that mold in the crawl space so that it doesn't make its way up into your living space. Now you want to go ahead and install that interior French drain, that waterproofing system that I mentioned with the hydro-waste system, along with the sump pumps to handle any future flooding that could happen. Remember, we want a worry-free crawl space, and I don't want you to encapsulate your crawl space and it be ruined by potential flooding. So let's put that waterproofing system in next. And finally, you would want to install an encapsulation system. Get you a great vapor barrier like we sell in our DIY store. Lay it down on the soil. Make sure that you wrap all the pillars inside the crawl space. get you some insulation vapor barrier to insulate the foundation walls while controlling moisture on the foundation walls and helping that dehumidifier to run less. All of this is explained better and in more detail in a playlist that I created called the Crawl Space Repair Myths Challenge. You should see it pop up on your screen right now if you want to watch that playlist, or I'll put it in the description. This playlist has 9 separate videos that cover everything from the crawl space inspection all the way to how to properly address the mold, as well as tools and everything you're going to need to do this properly if you decide to do it yourself, or if you're going to hire a contractor. It's great information so that you make sure the contractor is doing it properly. As I mentioned, you got to address that mold properly. Do not shortcut that process at all. Make sure everything's dry down there. Get that mold addressed properly, or you're just going to continue to smell that musty smell from the stack effect. Now, if you're dealing with something like this, like Lisa Ann is doing, remember you can contact me on the Ask a Ninja page, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, or you can go to Buy Me a Coffee and leave me a note, and I'll try to make a video about it. That way we can all learn together. We can all help each other. I hope this information was helpful. I hope you'll subscribe to our channel. Make sure you leave me some comments down below what you thought about this video, and I hope you'll like this video and share it with your friends and family if you found it helpful. And again, I really appreciate all of your support. You know, our channel is over 13 years old. We've got, over 50,000 subscribers, which just blows my mind. People purchasing my book on Amazon and on my Buy Me a Coffee. I really appreciate all of y'all's support so that we can put this content out for everybody. And I'm Michael Church with Crawl Space Ninja. We hope you make it a happy and blessed day, and we'll see you later.